Hi there, Dan West again. Well, here I am in my favorite shop, the kitchen. I remember as I was a small boy, one of my earliest memories, I was little. My first memories of my dad cooking. And I remember what he was cooking. He was cutting up corn tortillas and putting them in scrambled eggs. And I remember he ate his eggs with ketchup, something I don't do. Not that I don't like it, nice and sweet. I just don't do it, but I could. But ever since then, my earliest impressions were, my dad did it, I wanted to do it, and I've never lost that desire all my life. And I've had to learn on my own. No one really helped me along the way until I lived in France for 12 years, and I learned from my family, obviously, and some friends too, because I would always ask the neighbors or my friends of my family, I'd get in the kitchen with them and ask them how they do this and that. And we had a family member who owned the Boulanger, which is a bakery. That's where I heightened my skills at making breads and some pastries. But this is Thanksgiving, and just today my wife was saying to me, because she's concerned about my health, I'm diabetic and I have some problem with my legs every now and then, and she said something like, next time I want to cook, she's going to hit me over the head with a number 9 frying pan or something, so I don't work myself too hard. But I was telling her, I'm 72 years old now, and at my age, I look at these things as possibly the last time I may ever get a chance to do something like this. So I told her next year someone else is going to cook Thanksgiving dinner, and if no one wants to do it, then we'll go to Vegas. But basically I like to do this, memories. This is a little bit of the family coming together, not all the family, but part of it. And I'm making this video because there are some things, there's a lot of good cooks out there. And there's a lot of ways to do everything. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I'm doing. I'm making some puff pastries, appetizers. I got a big turkey I'm cooking, and some of my mashed potatoes, how I do them, and just a few things that I'm going to take snapshots and I'll talk as the video goes on. But there are some pointers I'd like to give, especially I'm going to make some dinner rolls in handling and making bread dough. And there's some things I think I see people do. They still make it, but it's something you just really shouldn't do and should get out of habit. And I'll discuss it as the time comes. So just thought I'd put this up there and say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. This is 2019 and real rainy, bad weather across the nation, but I'm where I like to be. And again, I'm not a chef, but I've learned some pretty good techniques through the years, kind of like your grandma. You might talk about your grandma being a great cook. Well, I can consider myself along those lines in terms of being able to cook just about anything. And techniques, I work mainly on techniques, and from there you can do just about anything. And my wife asked me one time, she says, does that chef's jacket make your food taste better? I said, no, not really. But I've had so many of my good work shirts get splashed with food and stuff, and it didn't come out. And a lot of time I'll use my work shirts so I'm going to go to the store, or a hardware store, whatever, and that stains just won't come out. So that's what these things are for. And not only that they're heavy, and they'll protect you from any accidents you may have, especially if you're frying or something. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you along the way, and as we say in French, bon appétit. Okay. Okay, here I'm going to make some dinner rolls. And, I've always liked making bread. It took me a long time to learn how to make bread. It wasn't until I actually got to France when I really learned about the key aspects of making bread. It's a very basic recipe: flour, water, salt, yeast. And of course, the different types of flour you use give you different characteristics. But just the basic ingredients, the way you manipulate it, the way you work it, or the way you don't work it, can give you a variety of types of bread. This is going to be a dinner roll, so it's more on a I like it on a sweet side. But it's almost a family of brioche, because it contains eggs, milk, and butter. Not to the extent that brioche does, but it's a real simple recipe. I think the biggest mistake I see people do, and they still make a loaf or bread, whatever. There's all kinds of ways to do it. But when you have an amount of flour, an amount of water or milk, whatever, and it's sticky, and I'm telling you, some of these people are, oh my gosh, it's so sticky, and they start adding flour to it as they work it, and that is what you should not do. Now, they'll still come out with a bread. They'll still think it's a great loaf. What they don't understand is that, and I'm going to show you here, in time, you want that stickiness. You want that wet dough. Get it together and then let it rest. Now, I forget the guy's name back in New York. He's not a baker by any means. Several years ago, he stumbled onto the no-knead bread. You take your basic 4 ingredients, and usually you stir with the handle of a wooden spoon. Whatever he did, he got it to where it was like a shaggy rug, not even really well blended. There was even some dry areas there. But you get your dough to where it's like a shaggy rug, the old type of rugs. Cover it with plastic wrap, put it away, let it sit. You can even let it sit overnight if you want. Come back and have a pot in the oven, heated at 500 degrees, and then take that dough without even kneading it or anything, and you'll see it's risen quite a bit, and it's incorporated. It's all together different. It's no longer shaggy. It's all incorporated, the liquid into the flour. Put that in that really hot pot, and you'll come out with the most fantastic round loaf of bread, and you've done nothing to it. And the inside is just like you come out of a boulanger. So there's a lot of ways of making bread. Yet you go to a regular boulanger, and they'll work that bread in a certain way and still come out with almost the same loaf, but they've worked it. They've done things to it. So there's a lot of ways of making bread. But the biggest mistake I keep saying is when they get the bread out of the mixer or out of the bowl and it's wet. Oh my gosh, it's so wet. They start adding flour. You shouldn't do that. Again, you'll still make a decent bread, but you just don't understand, the mechanics of making a loaf. So this is simple. I'm going to go through step by step, and show you how the transformations occur. So I've got my milk. You can use water. I'm using milk. That's the French in me. Cream, fats, and all that jazz, butter. So I've got it's up to temperature. I've got my yeast here. Here's my milk. Here's my yeast. I'm going to pour it in. I've got my sugar already in the milk, and I'm going to mix something else. I'm going to mix the sugar that I'm going to put in my flour. It's already in the mixer. And mix all the dry ingredients first. Mix them together, and then add your wet. I mean, I've seen them. They just start pouring everything in. Flour, salt. You really should never mix your salt and yeast, but they'll put the yeast on top of it, and it'll still work, you know. They say you never should, you really shouldn't. But they pour it in there and comes out with decent bread, so, you know, who's to say, you know. I think there are certain standards, and I like to go that way, but then again, you'll have people do very, you know, contradictory to what, let's say you learn in school. Still come out with a bread. So it's all up to you. This is the way I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show you how it comes out. So I'm going to wait for my yeast to a proof, and then we'll continue. Okay, my yeast is proofed nicely. I'm going to add it to the dried ingredients. I'm going to stir it a little bit and then start mixing it. Okay, here's going to be a good example of what I've been talking about, and it's actually by accident. You really, in anything, have to, especially cooking, learn textures, what it feels like, what it smells like, what it looks like. That applies to anything, even a machine shop. If you're cutting a piece of steel, if it's you can hear the cutter is cutting correctly, you can tell if the machine's straining or not straining or biting. In food, especially like, for example, bread making. Here I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of softened butter. This is the critical part, the first stage of combining your ingredients. This is where it's got, if you don't get this right, whatever you do afterwards, it's not going to be right. It might be edible, but it won't be the right product. You want a sticky dough. And in brioche, it really, once it's already sticky, and then once you start adding the butter to it, it just really gets sticky. But you don't keep adding flour. You work the dough, and by the ratio of the dry and the wet combination, it will come together. And this is what you've got to learn if you really want to be a serious bread maker. And this applies to right down into your pastries too. So this dough, I should know right now it's too dry. This is where you would add either water or milk, whatever, and you do it probably a teaspoon or tablespoon at a time. You just don't pour it in. You really got to have, if you've got a good feel for it, you can. But right off the bat, I can see how it's coming apart. It's not really that dough hook should be sliding through the mass, and it should be almost laying down there like a puddle. There it is. That's what we're looking for. That's money. That's what we want. That's what we want. All right, here we are. This is the stage where people really make a mistake. The dough has been blended, and it's still sticky. And they'll put it on their work table with some flour. Sometimes they put just tons of flour on it, and they keep adding flour as they're working it. This is still in the bowl. I'm going to show you how this flour and this mixture will incorporate itself into a nice smooth bowl, but you've got to work it without adding more flour to the recipe. Here we go. A real common mistake that so many people make, and they'll make a bread, and they'll think it's a good bread, and it'll work, but it's not really the right way to do it. Now this is going to run for about anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes. It depends. It depends on the climate. Right now today it's a very rainy day, very humid day. It may take less, it may take longer. So I'm going to let this thing run until it comes to a nice satiny smooth ball, and you'll see the difference. That's looking pretty good right there. Take a look. Going. So I'm just going to roll it into a ball. I'm not going to work it too much. You want your dough soft and light. You don't want a brick. You don't want it hard. You want it really light and soft. Now look how smooth that is. From that wet dough, I didn't add any other flour. Look how smooth that is. That's what you want. So I'm going to put this in a bowl now with some oil. And I'm going to let it sit for probably an hour or so. Let it rise. And then we'll shape it and make our little buns. And a little oil in that. Just a little smidge of oil there. Move that around a little bit. Put it upside down and roll it around in there. See how soft that is? See how just soft that is? Oh, that's what you want. And you watch that thing, that little baby. I'm going to put a piece of cellophane now right on top of that. Okay. There she's going to stay for the next hour or so. And then we'll shape it, then put it in the oven. All right, it's been not quite, a little over an hour, and you can see the bread is beautiful. See how soft that is? How beautiful that is. So, and again, it's not real dry. You don't want a real dry, loaf. So I'm going to sprinkle the board a little bit. Here, I got it. See that? That's all I need. You don't need a lot of, you see some people put all kinds of flour out there. I got a wet spot here I just felt. That's not good. So, just a little flour. Just dust it a little bit. Yeah? Look at that baby come out like that. Now, what are you going to do with it? I just saw something else. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to roll it like a baguette. This is the simplest way. When you want to divide something, one of the most simplest and accurate way to divide something. Okay, pretty much same size. The length doesn't matter. I'm going to go half. And then I'm going to go third. It's going to give me 9 rolls. Or 6, I should say. Yeah, 6 rolls. Okay. Now, I'm going to go half again. And I'm going to get 12 rolls out of this. Now, you can get your scale out there and all this jazz. I believe in scales. But this is the simplest and just as accurate. Okay, so now here I have these rolls. I'm going to put them off to the side. I'm not going to bother about rolling them. All right, sprinkle just a little bit, a little dusting. Now, see how it worked out? Work it into a little bit of a ball. Okay, now. See that? And you roll it. Look at that little baby loaf right there. Do it again. Take it, roll it up. Okay, little baby loaf. I'll do that to all remaining 10. So here they are. Here are my little babies, and they're all tucked away. They're going to rise now, and then we'll put them in the oven, and we'll have dinner rolls. All right, there's a few things I want to mention here that I didn't mention before. When you prepare your dough for the last rise to double in size, place it in a bowl that's lined with parchment paper, and then cover it maybe with another bowl or something. Because when it's doubled in size, you can pick your dough up out of that bowl with the parchment paper to place it in your Dutch oven that's 500 degrees. And then when you put that lid back on and place that Dutch oven back in the oven to bake for 25 to 30 minutes up to 500 degrees, you pull it out, take the lid off. Now you've got the parchment paper to help you, to assist you in not burning your fingers by taking that bread out of your Dutch oven. The other thing I want to mention is all these are just all out of shape. They're not perfect because personally I like when something's handmade that it's not all perfectly uniform, within reason. I'm not talking about something grotesquely and misshapen. But, I watch a lot of, for example, street food, like say in Mexico or what have you. And the ladies there just form everything by hand. They've been doing it for years. And they do this almost every day. And they get to where they can form whatever it is by hand to the exact size and the exact quantity. And that's with anything. You do something long enough, you get really good at it. But when you're doing, a bread or this every now and then, you're a working person, you have another job. And, don't feel bad when you have something like this where it's all misshapen, because the thing is, when it comes out of the oven, it's going to taste really good, and it's handmade. It's not something you bought. You can definitely get down to where you get it exact, even though you don't do it every day, by using a scale. I use a scale quite a bit, and you measure everything precisely. And then there are techniques that you can see up on YouTube to show you how to properly work a dough in shaping it in any shape you may want. I've learned this at my cousin is boulanger, and these are tried and proven techniques through the years. I'm not saying it's the only way you have to do it, but they definitely will teach you a lot in making your dough and handling dough, and you get the feel, the consistency of it, how much is working too much or not enough, proper ways of why you fold it a certain way. Within time you understand why these things work the way they do, and then when you see the end result, it's just it's really gratifying to see how you can make any kind of a dough, a specific dough, the way you want it, and you can go to boulanger and it looks the same way as a professional. So again, you can do it any number of ways to still make it somewhat edible. And you see it all the time with some people, how they do stuff. For example, the mixing of salt with your yeast. I'm not going to say salt is going to kill it, but salt and yeast is not good to mix. It's just something that you just don't do. I'm not saying it's positively the death, throw to your yeast, but if your yeast, again, is not really, let's say it's a little weak due to its age or something, that could be enough to kill your yeast. Anyways, that's really about it. The Dutch oven situation, and again, when I mentioned about the color of, for example, these rolls, I like dinner rolls to have a nice, soft, yet golden brown top to it. And I don't mind a heavy crust. These rolls that came out of the oven, as you can see now, are a little more than what I would like it. Not much, but just a little bit more. And yet they were, perfectly made, and everyone just loved them. And so it's not a catastrophe. It's just as you get into your own cooking, there are certain things you like and things you look for. That's just one I mentioned, but it's not a prerequisite. It doesn't happen the other way. It's just something I kind of like. It's like mashed potatoes. So many people like it on a wet side, some like it on a lumpy side, some like it on the stiff side. I like mine. I wouldn't say creamy because I don't like them wet, but I don't want any lumps in them, and I like them very smooth and yet solid. You don't fall off the spoon. And I don't use any milk or cream. I use all butter, and the quantity of the butter is what gives me my consistency. I put them through a ricer, and then I put them in my mixer and mix them. And when I boil them in water, I boil them in salty water, so the salt's already boiled into them. And this is how I serve up my mashed potatoes. Very fluffy and light and no lumps. And when I peel them, I also peel them where there's no eyes, no brown marks. It's perfectly white. I know some people don't mind to leave them that way. It's perfectly all right, whatever you like. Here is the interior of my rolls, and look how soft that is. Look like cotton. So soft, and what can I say? It tastes every bit as good as it looks right there in that photo. So again, there's my email at the bottom, and I didn't, as you can see, incorporate all the other photos of the meals that I had planned. Again, mashed potatoes, what have you, the making my gravy and whatnot, because I just didn't take the pictures. I got so involved in everything and with the family and whatnot, so I'll have to put these things together on another video piece, a la carte, as we say. So there's my email at the bottom, and I hope you've learned something from this old man, from his teachings of his cousin in France, and believe me, they are really tried and true. If you give it some practice, you'll see the benefits you'll get out of it. And again, this is strictly, I'm talking about bread now. Making bakeries and pastries a little bit different. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments, there it is below. And as we say in France, merci beaucoup, bon appétit, au revoir.